We are back again for another week, and 10 teams are now done with their first round of district games this season. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Football Fever, brought to you by LISD TV and LoneStarVarsity.com. I'm Travis Cram, and with me, as always, is George Watson of the Avalanche-Journal. And George, now we're finally being able to see what some of these teams are going to be like this season.
Yeah, I know it's only 2 weeks into the season, but you've got a lot of teams that are really starting to separate themselves out. A lot of 2-0 teams out there, a lot of teams that, there had some question marks going into the season that we didn't really know a whole lot about, but that I think they're starting to answer some of those questions. And a lot of teams that, are struggling to kind of come out of the gate a little bit. A few that we expected, some that we didn't expect. But still there's a lot of 1-1 teams out there. So, at 2 weeks, it's a little early to kind of tell who's going to end up where, but I think you're starting to kind of see some of the signs out there.
And we'll start with this past Thursday night's game at Lowry Field in Odessa taking on Lubbock High. Lubbock High is struggling a little bit, just like they kind of did with Friendship, but showing a little bit of signs that maybe they can continue getting better as the season goes.
Yeah, I think you're right. You look at this game, I don't think the 30-0 score really is indicative of what Lubbock High is capable of. Because you look at that, and 2 of those touchdowns for Odessa, came in the fourth quarter, and that was a point where Lubbock High was really kind of starting to get worn down offensively and defensively along the front lines. But for 3 quarters, this is a 1 possession, 2 possession type game, and Lubbock High is right there, especially with their defense. I don't think there's any question about Lubbock High's defense right now. They're very athletic, and they're going to be able to hang with a lot of people out there. It's just those front lines got a little worn down, and offensively, I think that's where Lubbock High's problems are right now. They really struggle to run the ball offensively, really struggle to do anything offensively against Odessa. And I don't know if it's take a step back, but I think it's guys just trying to build confidence and trying to get guys in the right places and get them in places where they can make some plays.
Obviously, we knew a little bit about Speck's defense going into the season. The offense, a little bit of question. Held to 100 yards of total offense against Odessa, but maybe that's where they can make the biggest strides is on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, absolutely. Offensively is where they have to make the biggest strides. When you look at the stats from that game, they only had 2 yards rushing and 98 yards passing. So Odessa, I think Odessa is one of those teams maybe that's a little bit better than some people thought, but I'm not sure if they've received just a real big test yet. I think their big tests are to come maybe this week with Coronado, maybe some down the road. So, but I think Odessa is definitely a team that's better than some people thought. Just Lubbock High, I think, with their questions offensively, they've really got to find some answers quick if they're going to stay in this district race.
And we're back at Friday night at Lowry Field again in Coronado. We learned a little bit about Coach Henderson's quarterback, Chris Camp, and we got introduced to him last week, but now the defense steps up a little bit for Coronado in this game.
Big time. The defense stepped up really well for Coronado. It's a 14-7 game. Amarillo's kind of got some momentum. They've weathered Coronado's first storm, and then all of a sudden the defense explodes. For Coronado for 16 straight points, gets an interception return, gets a safety, and then a punt return by Shaney Wilkinson that really expanded that lead back out and really helped them take control back of that game. And then you mentioned offensively, Chris Camp. I think he hit his first 8 for 8, 9 for 9, something like that. And Wilkinson obviously is stepped up to be the go-to receiver this year. So they look like one of those teams that has all the pieces in place right now and started off very well against a solid Amarillo team. And like you said, defensively, held that Russian attack that had 382 yards the previous week against Randall. Held them, I think to like 73, 75 yards. So it was a very, very good job all around by Coronado.
Monterey taking on Tascosa in their game this past week, and Tascosa's up 14-0, but right back come the Plainsmen in that game. Yeah,
it was another defensive play that really helped the Plainsmen turn that game around. Tascosa's up 14-0, and then it's 14-7 Monterey to start the second half. Monterey comes out, gets a big, huge interception return by Jordan Vestal, takes it back 43 yards for the score. Suddenly you're looking at a 14-14 game, and the momentum and the feeling of this game has completely changed. Monterey's defense really stepped up in the second half, kept the game close, kept a lid on Dalton Brooks, a quarterback who had hurt him in the first half, and then allowed the offense to come through late in the game there in the fourth quarter, get the touchdown, and then hang on defensively for the win. A good start by the Plainsmen.
Estacado and Pampa hitting each other last week. Estacado still maybe looking for that first win. What are they trying to do offensively maybe with Kyle Jackson?
Well, I think part of the problem in with not talking to Coach Cervantes yet this week, but just kind of looking at the stats, you look at, they're obviously going to throw the football with Kyle Jackson. Well, he had 4 interceptions, against Pampa. So, the turnovers are going to kill anybody no matter who you have at quarterback, whether you're fumbling it, throwing interceptions, doing what. If you can't build any offensive consistency, then you're going to struggle, and it's going to be a struggle to win the game. They're going to have to start scoring and kind of outscoring people until the defense kind of comes around. But take into account they're also playing a couple of 4A teams to start the season too. Now they're going to kind of get into the meat of their 3A schedule this week and on into the following week. So I think if a team was ever set up for some improvement, it's going to be Estacado. But I think they really need to kind of find some other playmakers there offensively.
Estacado getting back into their 3A schedule. Some other scores from around the 2-5A. Midland High 20 beat Midland Lee 20-13.
Right.
And Odessa Permian 46-14. They'll be here this week to take on Monterey. And then other score from around the area, Idalou and Levelland. We knew a lot about Idalou's rushing game. Levelland kind of struggled in their past one, but I think obviously Coach Taylor's got his team off to the right start again.
Absolutely. I mean, and I told you about what to look from Idalou, and they were every bit of it. Just sit there and line up in two tight ends, and single back, and it's either Sean Reagan or it's Tanner Cook, and most times it's going to be Tanner Cook. Another good game from Tanner. And I mean, those are games that if you love classic football, you love watching Idalou play, because they just sit there and they run the ball, and they tell you actually where they're going to run. So we're going to go right here, and you meet us in the hole, see if you can stop us. And a lot of teams most times can't. Levelland struggled to do so. Idalou was just methodic and kept pounding the ball and pounded out a big win.
Yeah, you look at Tanner Cook, and obviously he had a big rushing game, but what was even more impressive was maybe their defense, the way they were able to attack off the ends, off the corners coming in to beat that swinging gate sometimes with that wing tee running at him. But Cook overall in the game, I mean, it was just like they couldn't stop him. And it's a question of, are any teams going to be able to stop him in the combination of Reagan? Because even he showed a little bit of promise throwing the ball every now and then during the game.
Yeah, and he showed that since he was a freshman, the ability to throw the ball 50, 60 yards down the field and throw it on a line too. So you mentioned Idalou, we mentioned what they do offensively. Defensively, they've got a great team and a lot of team speed that really makes it tough to do anything if you're another offense to do anything against them. And
obviously, Lubbock Cooper not being able to play their game this past week against Snyder with the death of basketball player Kelsey Vines.
Yeah, a very, very unfortunate tragedy. You never like to see, this happen to any kid, at any time, anywhere, much less one that, that you kind of, I wouldn't say personally know, but I mean, you talk about, being, a high school reporter here in Lubbock. I've seen Kelsey and Cooper many times over the last couple of years and being able to watch them play. And this is one that really kind of hits hard, not only, having talked to her, but, having covered her and watched her play. And we know that there's a lot of healing that's going to have to be done there by the Cooper community. They canceled all their athletic events, from like Wednesday on, postponed the football game. That's going to be played October 3rd against Snyder. And postpone volleyball and cross country, and they're kind of getting back into that this week and with a game with volleyball and all that kind of stuff. So I know there's a lot of healing that needs to be done in that community, but that is a very strong and close community, and I know they'll come through fine.
And Cooper senior Tori West might have put it best. She said, "Kelsey was like the sunshine of our day. She was always so happy. She always made everybody's day."